Hey everybody, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Welcome back to the channel. Part 19 is this? I think it's part 19. Or is it 18? I can't remember now. Of this build of this beautiful Airfix 1/24 scale Spitfire Mark 9. And as you can see, all painted up, all camouflage, nice and blotchy, uneven finishes. We've got a nice soft edge here from the sausages. So as you can see, all gloss coated. It's aqua gloss on there. All looking very nice. We've got a couple of hairs in the paint I can see there, not to worry. It's with Jess around, that's going to be just par for the course here. I think every one of my models has got at least one hair in it. So we can easily come along with a sanding stick, a sponge, and just remove that quite easily. And there's another one I saw here as well, there's one there as well. So this is what happens when you have a fluffy dog in the house. Anyway, there we go. Just the two on this one. So all gloss coated. Some of you will say you don't need to gloss coat your models. You don't have to gloss coat your models before decaling. I do, because I find that if I don't do it, then I have a very high chance of getting silvering, especially with Tamiya paint, because Tamiya paint can be quite grainy. Mr. Hobby paint is a lot smoother. It goes down a lot smoother. If you look at my Sky Crane, you'll see that's a very sort of satin-like finish when it goes down, whereas Tamiya tends to be very matte and very sort of grainy, quite rough to the touch. You can see, you can see some of the graininess there underneath the clear. It's it tends to, you know, it will give you silvering. So that's why I put a gloss coat on. It just helps. It's just like a gloss film for the decal to go down on, rather than having a matte paint that just soaks up everything, and then you end up with a carrier film showing everywhere. So that's that done. Also, I was asked the question, why am I so concerned about having this nice edge on the camouflage when I went along and did the sharp lines for the D-Day stripes? It's just the way I'm doing it. It's my model. I'm doing it the way I want to. I have already said on a number of occasions, I know that these lines weren't perfect. They were on the Typhoons. They weren't D-Day stripes and Typhoons. They were identification stripes. And I've got many pictures that proves they were perfect. I know these weren't perfect, but to try and replicate them as they were, I think would be very difficult without it just looking like a mess. So I've gone for the masked, tidy lines there and the correct edges to the camouflage there. I could have gone sharp, I could have gone freehand. It's just, it's my model, I'm doing it the way I want to do it, and that's it really. It's there is no other thing to say. I'm sorry, but that's how it is. So there we go. So I have got here, this is the beautiful set I've reviewed already. This is the One Man Army masking set. It's set number 24DET016, and this is basically a replacement for the Airfix decals. Now these are cartograph decals, so they're very nice. I would use this on here, but this is an out-of-the-box build, so I'm not using these on this one, but I have got another one. As some of you know, I've got some other extras to go on it as well. So this is an out-of-the-box build. I will build another one at some point and use all the aftermarket on it. So for this one, we're going to be using the decals. Now, obviously, we can't put the model upside down because we'll break off the antenna. What I should have done is cut the antenna off and put a brass rod in there or something. But I haven't fitted the mirror either for fear of that getting broken off. That's over here, ready to go. So what I've got here is a nice rigid box that some MIG ammo stuff came in. So I can stand this upside down in there. We've even got a little cutout in there for the fuselage to go in. So I'm going to concentrate on the underside first. And this way I can move the model around as I need to and get it all done. We're still masked up because we're going to be putting a flat coat on after. And I'm going to concentrate initially on, watch the camera white out now. I'm going to concentrate initially on doing some stencils. So you can see here location of common stencils for all the variants. So we can see here we've got them all. So I'm not going to bore you and do all these decals on camera, but what I will do is just do a couple and then turn the camera off and do some more, get some music on and get the rest of them done. So we've got decals to go on the propeller. I've got the propeller here, that's been gloss coated as well, ready for the decals. I think we've got some to go on the spinner as well. I'm not sure. Do we have some on the spinner? I can't see anything there at the moment. I don't think there are any for the spinner, but we also have, I thought that's the Revell kit I'm thinking of, or the Tamiya. There were decal, I thought there were decals for the yellow tips of the prop, but I've already painted them on. So we're going to go through and get all these stencils on, basically. So I can see here we've got number 64, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So on the decal sheet I can see them over here, and there's 10 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to cut these out. Now I always use scissors. You'll see people using knives to cut the decals out. You'll see them come along like this, and they'll come along and they'll cut them out with a knife. Don't ever cut decals out with a knife. 2 reasons. 1, if you're cutting right up to the decal to get rid of carrier film. Now these are cartographs, so as you can see, there is no carrier film around the edge of the decal. They're beautiful, they're lovely. But if there was carrier film and you want to remove it, if you use a knife, what happens is you end up with a knife, you kind of cut and you push material up either side. Okay? With ones like this, obviously I'm not going to be cutting right up to them, but if I use a knife, I'll be making like a ledge and it makes it hard to slide the decal off the paper. So always use scissors. Okay? So I'm going to come along here and just cut these out. Okay, I'm also going to get the number 64. And we're going to make sure that we cut the number 64 off, because we don't want number 64 floating around in the water. Because what will happen is it will attach itself to the back of the decal and make a mess. So there we are, we can cut the 64 off, we don't need it. So that's gone there, and we've got 10 of those down. I'm not going to put them all in the water together, I'll probably just do 2 at a time. But I just want to see if I can show you here. Okay, so you can see, let's see if I can get the camera to catch this. You can see here where I've cut with scissors. You can see there is a nice sharp edge with no raised areas, and you can see there underneath that 74 where I've cut with a knife. Get it in the light. You can see there's that raised edge around it, and that's what you don't want to get. So don't ever cut decals out with a knife, always use scissors. Okay, so I've cut these decals up. We'll get rid of that knife because we're not going to use it. I cut these decals up into 3s and 2s because we've got one on the end of the aileron, and then we've got 2 on the flap here. So we've got 3 there, 3 there, and then we've got 2 on the fuselage and 2 on the tail planes. Now these are basically the letter M, okay, and they actually go on facing backwards. So if you held the model like this, you would read the M correctly, the correct way up. So the bottom of the M goes towards the trailing edge. So that's how they're going to go on. So I've got some warm water over here. I'm just going to dip my decals in the water. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. I've got some warm water. Just dip the decals in the water and then just sit them there and let them do their thing for a few minutes. I've got some microset and microsol. Microset is what goes down first and microsol goes down after, and I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to put some microset down. Sometimes what I've been finding lately is the microset has been making, I'm not even sure if this would be on, or I'm sure the white stripe would be covering it up, but however, whatever. Microset tends to make the decals stick like the proverbial to a blanket straight away. So this is going to go like this. So I'm thinking I can use a brush. Yes, they're moving. So I can just brush this onto here, put the decal down, and then using a pair of tweezers or something, nothing too sharp, we can just position the M where we want it. I'm assuming it's going to be square, not parallel to the trailing edge. I'm assuming it's going to be square to the edge there, and then we can just roll over it with a cotton bud, just like so. Okay, and just leave that for a second to dry, and then we can put some microset. So we've got one here, and we've got one there. So we can pick these up again, making sure we're the right way up. We can just brush that one off onto there, and just brush that one off onto there. And some of you may be thinking, oh my god, you're putting microset on top of the decal. Well, you're supposed to. People don't do it, but if you read the instructions on the bottle, it tells you that you should put microset down on underneath and on top of the decal, not just microsole. Okay, so that's that in position. Just roll over the cotton bud just to lay it down. There we go. So that's that one laid down nicely. And then we can take some microsole. I always use the same brush because I don't worry about mixing them. Just brush that onto there, just like so. And then they will go down, pull down beautifully. No silvering, no edges, no nothing. They'll just pull down lovely onto that sort of semi-gloss finish. So I'm going to do the same for the rest of them, and I'll come back when we've got something a bit more interesting to do. Okay, so after a couple of hours, you can see we've got some stencils done. We've got all the stencils underneath. These location for wingtip trestles, they go onto the actual gun doors, so you have to cut them. But they've all seemed to have gone down quite nice. I need to do some cutting like around, where's my knife? Here in this panel line here, we're just going to go in with a knife and just cut that around. Luckily the panel lines are a little on the heavy side, which is good for this. We can just do that, just cut them in, and then drop of micro set on the top, and then we can roll this, get a new cotton bud. That cotton bud's had it. We can roll that in, sort of push it down into that hole. There's going to be the pitot tube's going to come out of there as well. So you can see I've got to do the same here. You can see up here I've got that. I've nudged that one over as well, unfortunately. I've moved the whole thing. What have I done there? Blimey. You can see here these walkway marks. I've actually managed to move that one completely, so I'm going to get that sorted. Unfortunately, it just fell apart due to the decal setting solution, so I'm going to have to paint that in. So I'll just do a bit of masking afterwards and paint that in with a bit of black paint. These walkway markings, because this is out of the box, I've used the decals. What I would normally do, as you've seen me do before, I would normally spray this in black paint before we put the camouflage on, and then get some 1mm or whatever masking tape and mask those off, and then do the camouflage and everything, and then take the tape away. Putting these decals down is quite difficult to have them straight. I believe they should be behind that panel line rather than in front, but that would have meant them going over onto these gun bay doors. So I've basically put it just in front of the line, so it's probably slightly inaccurate, but it's a lot neater, and it saves me having to cut all the decals and everything. So that's that. As I say, in future, when I do the next one, I will actually mask that and paint it rather than using the decals. You can see we've got them all underneath. I've got to go around and do all these bits in the panel lines, as I was just saying. So we'll just come along here, you know, with a knife and just literally just cut around like that. Same on here. And it just removes that silvering, and it will really show up when you start to do washes and stuff. The silvering there will really show up. So we just come along here with some micro set, brush it onto there, let that work in there, and then we'll go in with some microsole afterwards, and we can actually push it down with a cotton bud as well, just to ensure it goes in. And we've got to do that over everywhere where there's a panel line and we've got a decal. So there, there, we just brush on some micro set, and it just makes life, that doesn't make life easier, it just makes the whole thing just look so much better. As I say, when I do my next one, I will use the One Man Army set, which will include all these stencils as masks, and then you can literally paint them on and they will look a million times better than the decals. So well worth doing, well worth investing in. So we just go around that one, go around that one, go around there. Around there. And if you do this sort of like an hour after you put them in, they're dry enough to be cut and not move, but they're still kind of a bit soft. so it will they'll take better to the decal setting solutions and go down easier. I must say these Johnson's cotton buds are really poor quality. They are genuine Johnson's cotton buds, but they're not the normal standard. They seem to have dropped their quality right off. Do the same on that one. Let me just brush on some microset. And there we go. So we'll go around and do that everywhere where it's appropriate, and then we'll have a look, and then we can go along afterwards with some microsole, just brush that one as well. Okay, so we'll get that done. Do the rest. I don't think there's anything else. There's this one here. There's this one here on the nose. It's coolant 7030. We just cut that one in. It just makes everything look so much better. I've also added the K to the tail, and I forgot to put the camera on. Thought I'll get the stencils done, then I'll come back and show you when I started doing the proper decals. So I've also put the gun covers on there. That was why I didn't bother painting the inside there or anything. So they're on. So yeah, all in all, looking quite nice. So I will get some of the major decals done. I'll show you doing the big roundels and stuff, because I know you like to see that. And I'm just going to get some micro sole and just go over these walkways again, just to help them go down, because they're all over rivets and everything. There's a lot of detail under there. Oh, and there's one other thing I wanted to show you as well. Oh, you can't see it's gone. When you put these decals on, when you put setting solution on onto the paint, it changes colour. Okay, you can't see it now. But it changes colour. If I do some here, maybe it's the micro set that does it, not the micro sole. It changes colour, and what you need to do is be very, very careful not to do your clear coat. So as soon as you finish decaling, leave the model for like a day, let them all go, and then you can go around and just check for silvering areas over panel lines and stuff like I've just done. But it changes. You can see here the change in colour where the setting solutions have been. Ignore it, let it dry, it goes away. But if you clear coat too quickly over that, it will stay, it won't go away. So you need to be very, very careful and make sure that your model is thoroughly dry. And the other thing that a lot of people forget to do, including me, is to go around with a damp cloth and remove all the excess glues and solutions and everything from doing the decaling, because that is something as well that looks awful underneath clear coat if you've got smudges and everything. Ask me how I know, because I've done it. So there we go. Just going to make sure those have gone down nice in those panels. These decals are beautiful to work with. The cartograph, obviously they're going to be good, but really, really nice, and I'm glad Airfix went to cartograph for their decals, because cartograph are basically the best. So there we are. You can see I've done the prop as well with the blades number 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to put some more micro sole on them just to make sure they really go down nice and tight, and then we'll get some clear coat on them, seal them in. So I'm going to do some more decaling and then I'll be back. So you can see I've done one of the roundels now. These gun bay doors don't fit particularly well, so what happens is the decal will kind of tend to wrinkle up around the corners, and that's fine. The setting solution should take care of that, but if not, you can just roll over it and sort of roll them out just like so. I mean, really, you know, with things this size, it is far better to mask and paint them rather than use decals, because they are so very, very big. And it's, you know, it's very difficult to get them to go down. Having said that, these are glorious, these decals. They are gorgeous to work with. They are lovely. If you've got any close friends, or not even close friends, just friends of the family, you know, family members, whatever, then and are new to the hobby, let them have your spare decals to practice with, because these things are a joy to work with. Like some of the hobby boss decals are just, they'll put them off the hobby. but they'll get beautiful results. You know, with your setting solutions, they just respond to the setting solutions so very, very well. And as you can see, they're just rolling those wrinkles out, and they're also very tough. These decals, they're really tough. Here we go. So and just keep applying the micro sole to the top of the decal. That will help it to go down. What we want it to do is sort of just dry off, and then we'll go around the edge with a new scalpel blade. So I'm going to do this side on camera. So watch this go completely and utterly wrong. So we've got the decal on the paper there, it's ready to slide. So I'm going to get some micro set. Just brush this on the wing first. Okay, so the decal's going to go on, and it's got to be, you can see on this one here, the front edge has got to be up to the back of that gun bay cover, and the inner edge is going to be just over that door. So again, making sure we're in shot as well for you. So we're going to put that against the back of there, we're going to have that one into there, and then just pull the paper out. That's that. Now we can just use our brush just to push any excess liquid out from underneath. Okay, and then we can use our finger just to position it, get it in exactly the same place as the other ones, so it's nice and symmetrical. And then I'm going to use a new cotton bud again because these things are rubbish. Just going to roll that cotton bud over there and just roll out any excess moisture from underneath. As you can see, this gun bay door doesn't fit very well at all. I'm not bothered because I'm probably going to leave them off. But what I probably should have done in hindsight, the trouble is I taped up all the gun bays for painting, if you remember. So obviously now they've got paint on them not fitting very well, but what I should have done is made sure they fit before I painted it. So there's something to remember for your build, or something to remember for next time. You can see we're just going to get those wrinkles to come out, just like so. They're unavoidable from the corners of those gun bay doors, you're not going to get rid of them. There we go, so that's gone down. And we'll grab some more micro set and just brush this over the top. And then we'll just leave it for a while. You know, with some decals, like those ICM ones, if you touch them after you've put setting solution on, they basically just fall apart because they're very, very thin, which is a good thing. These are cartographs, so these are like the Rolls Royce of decals. They're the best in the world, everybody knows that. So they're not too thick. They're not the thinnest of decals, but they're not too thick. They're not like Hobby Boss decals, which are like bloody slabs. But they do respond very well to setting solutions, and they soften up beautifully. You can see the difference in that one and this one just by looking at it. You know, I can roll those creases out like that. It's just, you can see how it's pulling down around that door. If you do get the creases there, and then, you know, after the decal's dry, just stick a knife in them, put some more setting solution on there. I use set and then sol, and they will just come out. But you can see on there how that is pulled down into all the shapes and everything. Just leave it, that's what it will do. But, yeah, I wouldn't advise, on most decals, I wouldn't advise going and touching it after you've put micro sole on. But with these, you seem to be able to get away with it. As long as you don't try and drag them around, as long as you're just pushing down on them, they're absolutely fine. So we've got that crease there, it's got to come out. As you can see, just pushing it around, rolling it around, pushing it down. I'm going to put some more microsol on and just leave it to do its thing. And then we can come back and look at it again in about 5 minutes. I've done the roundels underneath. They've been a complete nightmare because the door's even worse fit. Again, and you've got these bulges on these gun bay doors here, which don't help at all. As you can see, they're pulling down. Just keep going with the microsol. Don't let them dry out, just keep them wet. And they'll just keep pulling down around those doors and everything. They'll go lovely. You see how badly fitting that door is. It's terrible. I really should have paid some attention to it before I put the decal on. Never mind. It will come out in the wash, and any touch-ups or anything can be done, or we can just chip it. But we'll cover all that when we come to weathering it, and I'll show you how I cut the doors out. But for now, we could just leave that like that. Right, so just let the setting solution do its thing. As I say, you can just roll the wrinkles out. If you just push down on them, they'll just sort of roll into themselves. They are absolutely gorgeous, these decals. They are lovely. One of the best parts of the kit. They are absolutely stunning. But as I say, I would still prefer to paint these. I also forgot to mention earlier, if you look at DN masks, they do a set for this kit as well. Now the One Man Army set is kabuki tape, or like kabuki tape, and includes all the stenciling. The DN mask set is just all your insignia and everything. It doesn't include the your stenciling, but they're vinyl. So if you prefer vinyl masks, then you can go the DN models route. If you prefer kabuki tape, then go the One Man Army route. And if you're not worried about having stencils and stuff, then the DN Army set will do you. DN models set will do you. If you want your stencil data to spray on, then the One Man Army is your only option. So there we go. You can see how that's gone, and you can see now how that one is pulled down over everything. It's pulling down into all the rivets as well. And like I say, the secret is to just keep it wet until you're happy that it's all gone down nice. Just keep it wet. Because once it dries out, that's pretty much it. If you keep it wet, you're keeping it soft, you're allowing it to conform and do its thing. You're just concentrating on those creases by those doors. You just want them to disappear into themselves. Just like so. Okay. Right. Okay, so about an hour has passed. I've done all the decals now. You can see we got all the lettering on the sides and everything. That's all done. There's a bit of an issue if you are building this kit. There's something wrong here. This doesn't work out, because if you look here, they've got this band here of colour, and obviously this K is shaped to go around that band, so that determines the position of everything. If you look at this roundel then up against the K and up over that panel line, but in reality, even if you have that a little bit further away, it's still not. You can see that roundel there is halfway over the door. You can see here it's not. So everything seems to be sort of shoved up in this drawing. It's a bit weird. I don't know if I think this section here may be drawn too short. I'm not sure. It's very, very strange. I've been trying to scale it with a rule, but I don't seem to be able to. I mean, that distance from there to there is 50 millimeters, and there to there is 50 millimeters. So if we look at there, that's 120, and that's about 100. And so there's a slight error in this drawing, I think. But anyway, so just be careful of that. So what I've done here, brand new fresh blade in the knife, brand new fresh scalpel blade. This is a number 10A, so it's a nice flat blade. You don't really want a round one. And what we're going to do is come in to these doors, come in at a bit of an angle, and just cut down the side. Just let the weight of the knife do the work, and cut towards the edge of the decal rather than in, so you don't peel it up. And then the same here, pick up on this edge of this door. This is really dodgy doing this on camera because I can't see properly what I'm doing, because I'm trying to make it so you guys can see. For some reason my knife keeps riding. Ugh, this is impossible. There we go. Go down there. Go down there. It seems to be very difficult to do this inner side. There we go, we got in the groove now. Okay, so doing this with the decal still soft so that it hasn't dried out, and then we can come along with some microsole and just brush it on over that area where we've just cut, and then with a cotton bud, wherever the cotton bud's gone, here it is, we could just sort of, let's get a new one. These things are bloody awful, look at them. It's like they're knackered, they're brand new. They're really dodgy batch, I think. Probably getting them made somewhere cheaper, like everything else, make it cheap. And there we go. So there we go. Now you can see that's gone down. You can see the door is there and it'll come out easily. So the other thing we need to do is run down the fronts here. Find the groove, we'll run in there, because there's going to be carrier film on those doors from the black line. So we'll just get into there, just like so, in like that, and slice them. And then again, we'll get some microsole and just brush that on there, and that will help the decal to pull its way in to wherever it needs to be. Just give it a little shove down. As I say, these decals are just gorgeous. They are absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to turn this over now, hitting the camera again, sorry. Is that going to touch those roundels? I think it might, so I'll hold on to it rather than just check we're not holding any decals. So I want to get these doors done while the decal's still soft, you see. So we'll get that one cut. And we'll get that one cut. I think I came off then, didn't I? I heard the rivets. Let's go back in again. There we go. And then we'll get some, throwing everything everywhere now. We'll get some microsole onto there. Brush it down. You can see I've also sliced open these ejection chutes, ejection ports. Because basically there was a bubble here that was pulling up, so I just cut that open roughly, and then we'll do the same on this side. Get this cut open down there, do the same down there. You can tell summer's coming, guys. We can hear the girls playing outside. It's ever so funny where I live. It's all girls. I don't think there's any. I think there's one boy behind me. I think that's it. There's about 12 or 15 girls running around all the time. They're so funny. I remember last year on the Queen's Jubilee, they were reenacting they'd obviously been watching and they were reenacting the Jubilee out in the street, marching up and down pretending to be horses and whatever. Very funny. Right, so I need to hold that in place. These doors just do not fit. I don't know if it's because of the paint or because they don't fit because the kit's bad. I don't know. But this really does not want to go in, that one. So that one's got a wrinkle in it there. There we go. So there we are. So we can put that down like that, perhaps. Look at that, it fits in there now, isn't that typical? It's fitted in there beautifully. Crazy. So there we are, it's probably going to fall out when I tip it over. I don't know. So there we go, guys, that's all the decaling done. Decaling if you're in the States. I call them decals because I'm not, I'm in England. There we go, that lower door's just fallen off. Fallen off. And I'm just going to quickly go around and just check we got the corners. Oh, we'll be okay, we'll be okay. They're good to go. So there we are. So that's it, guys, that's the decaling all done. Decaling, whatever. I know you can see how she looks. And yeah, and I'll tell you what, Airfix, beautiful, beautiful decals. Thank you very much for using Cartograph. Really fair play to you. And I'm just going to go around now, and everywhere there's a decal which goes over a panel line, I'm just going to cut the decal and then brush on some microsol, and hopefully that will go down into there nicely. And then here on this door, there's one there, and then here, there's on this door here, let the knife come out of the groove. There we go. Brush on some microsol. I don't think there's any decals on any doors anywhere else. Got a bit of a wrinkle there. Just going to roll that one out. What we'll do there is just get a knife and just touch it. It should help it to roll out. So there we go, guys, that's her all done with the decaling all done. And now what we need to do, we can see here we have, if you see here, you can see there is silvering where those screw holes are. So what we'll do is just puncture them. Seems to be okay on that side. So just puncture them. I'm going to get some micro set this time because it's going to make the decal a bit softer. I don't remember if I did this one or not, so I'm going to do it again. Remember, guys, once you've done this, we'll clear coat, and the thing is, once you've clear coated, that's it, you can't do anything with them then. So it's good to go around and really look for silvering and issues anywhere where you might want to go over and do it again. Like I've got to do that, paint that stripe, that black line here. But obviously I'm not going to do that until I've clear coat, because if I mask over the decal, I'll probably lift the decal when I take the mask off. Here I'm going to remove that walkway line. I don't think it's supposed to go, it does go over, but I'm going to remove it from the leading edge there. I don't think it's supposed to go underneath. So what we can do then is just get some micro sole to soften that up a bit. I should be able to just get something under it and just remove it. There we go. I'm off camera, sorry guys. There we go. So that's that gone. So there we are, all done. I can also see some silvering here, I think, where the rivets are. So we're just going to go into there. We'll just poke those. Just randomly poke them and then brush some microsol onto them. And like I say, once we're we've clear coated it, we've had it, we can't do anything then, so we've got to do the work now. So I'm just going to go around that line there, sliver that one out, that one there, and then brush some microsol on there and it should go down in then. Just give that a little shove just to help it on its way. And there we are, all done. So I'm going to call it a day there for that video. That's been the deck, I think. Now what I'm going to do now off camera is I'll let this dry for probably 48 hours. Then I'll go around to give it another check and then I'll get another clear coat on it. I'll probably use LP23, which is the flat clear. And then that will give me a nice basis then to do some weathering and stuff. I'm not going to go to town and beat it right up, but we're going to give it some oils and some staining, and we'll do some chipping and stuff on there as well, and we'll see how it all comes out. So thank you for watching, thanks for your time, and if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, and if you've enjoyed this, hit the like, the thumbs up, and stay tuned for the next episode. If you've got this kit, these decals are beautiful, but don't forget, this is going to give you a far nicer job. It's more work, but it's going to be a far nicer job than any decals are ever going to give you. So especially on these roundels and stuff, but you can see how these have responded. You can see on there how they've gone down into all the rivets and everything very, very nicely indeed. Very, very nice. They are probably the best decals I've ever used. They are amazingly good. They are amazing. Now Tamiya need to start using cartograph, don't they? I know they do with some kits, don't they? So Tamiya decals are one of the worst. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon for the next one of this one. Whatever it is. Look how that decal shrunk back there, look. See what's happened where I've cut it? See it shrunk back? That's what I'm going to try and do now. Maybe I brushed that over, did I? I'll try and bring it back if I can. I shrunk back from there because I cut it. So maybe I did it a little bit too early. Or maybe I have moved it. Maybe I've picked it up on my finger or something and touched it. I'm not sure. I'll have a little play with that. I'll see you all soon, and thanks for watching. Bye for now.